Last week, both Google and Apple made an announcement saying they're working together to come up with a system to enable widespread contact tracing. It's all in an effort to help contain the spread of COVID-19. But just how are they going to do that? What does it mean for our privacy? Are we actually going to download these apps? For more on this, let's go to our tech editor, Dan Howley. Hey, Dan, I know these two companies had a call with reporters recently about how they plan to roll this thing out. What did they have to say?
Yeah, they had a call yesterday basically saying, look, we know there's a lot of questions. They rolled this idea out on Friday, and it's not something that's entirely novel. This has been done in Singapore already. What Apple and Google want to do is use Bluetooth low energy connections. That's what we all have in our smartphones. And what will happen is if we all use these kinds of apps that they're going to be offering through health authorities, that's one of the big issues that they're pointing out is this is only available through health authority apps at first. What will happen is we would go out, and if we sit next to someone who has a smartphone that has this feature turned on as well, we would exchange randomized identifier beacons. Basically, it's just a string of numbers that would say, here was a phone, and it would store on our device. Now, if one of us then contracts COVID-19, we would enter into our health authorities app that we are indeed positive. Once we do that, it would automatically push any of the numbers that we had stored, such as the person that sat next to us that we had received, up into a server. That server would then send down information containing those numbers to everyone else's device that's been in contact with you. So you would then be sitting at home, your own device would be looking at this server to see what numbers are available that are showing someone as positive. And if it matches up with one of your numbers, you will get a notification saying, okay, you were in contact with someone recently that has COVID-19. Here's the next steps you should take. Perhaps contact your health authority, shelter in place, what have you. Now, the big deal here is that they're randomized identifiers. So that means that it's harder, virtually impossible to track someone this way. But as with anything with technology, it's not impossible. Anything that's connected to the web, it's never 100% bulletproof, but it is very close. The issue here then becomes how would people identify you if they could? The reason why Apple and Google are using these randomized identifiers is because that will prohibit anyone from being able to track you over time. The identifiers will cycle every 15 minutes to something completely new, so they wouldn't be able to follow you across a map or anything along those lines. So this is something that's going to be rolling out in 2 stages. The first is through these health authority apps. You'll get an update on iOS and Android to allow for the ability for the Bluetooth to be able to communicate with these apps. And then later on, they'll have a full-on operating system update that will enable it from the operating system level, so you don't need these third-party apps. And they say that'll eliminate the friction and get more people to sign up and use this.
So Dan, just to be clear, this starts rolling out which shortly, I'm surprised because there are privacy concerns here. And as you know, the government doesn't move quickly with anything.
Yeah, this is the first stage is going to come in mid-May. And I think, the idea here is, look, this is something that's been used in Singapore. It's not GPS based. So that's what would really raise red flags as far as privacy goes. Nobody will know your exact location. And in fact, when you test positive and you upload the fact that you've been tested positive, no one will know who you are. In fact, if I receive a notification saying I was in contact with someone who tested positive, I wouldn't know who that person was, where I came into contact with them, or anything along those lines. So they're really trying to push privacy first here. But as I said, nothing is impossible when it comes to the internet. So there's always a kind of creeping feeling in the back of your mind that perhaps something could go, askew. But that's anything that happens with the internet, really.
How true it is. But glad to see they're trying to make some progress in that area. Thanks so much, Dan Howley.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.